You may recognize the voice of our next moderator from the Talkback Morning Show on KGVO 1290 AM. As a regular guest, Bob Seidenswartz discusses global, current events with distinguished guests to give Montanans a better understanding of the complexities of the world around them. Robert Seidenswartz, a University of Montana alum, began his professional career as a registered representative at IDS Financial Services in 1982. In the spring of 1987, he left IDS to become one of the original founders of the predecessor firm to SG Long & Co. Please join me in welcoming moderator Bob Seidenswartz, President Emeritus of the World Affairs Council.
Good morning, everybody. Pleasure and honor to be here and to see so many of you here today. I'm going to have Dr. Abraham Kim just do the brief introductions on the bios. Kind of in the process of losing my voice a little bit, and I need to save it for the really interesting and exciting part of what you're going to be exposed to here today. So a warm round of applause for Dr. Kim. Thank you very much.
I'm honored to introduce our two speakers today. First is Mr. Dirk Badenhorst. He's the CEO and founder of the biennial South African International Ballet Competition. Mr. Badenhorst is a South African dancer and a dance therapist. He holds a BA in psychology and philosophy, teacher's diploma in dance and movement and therapy, and an MBA. He studied at the University of Cape Town's dance school and has danced with South Africa's CAPAB Ballet and PACT Ballet. Mr. Badenhorst has performed in Spain at the Jose and Helena Montoya Spanish Dance Company and Austria's Danza Lorca. In 2001, Mr. Badenhorst combines his interest in dance administration, youth development, and to become a founding member of the South African Dance Theater, Ballet Theater, the first independent professional ballet company in South Africa, and has had a very distinguished career in connecting dancers and dance academies and youth and pushing the boundaries of dance across South Africa in mental health, physical handicap, and a lot of different areas. So, and he's currently, as I mentioned, serving as the CEO and founder of the biennial South African International Ballet Competition. Next is Mr. Andile Ndulovu. I hope I got that right. At the Washington Ballet. I introduced you last year, and I had a problem last year too. So please excuse my pronunciation. Andile is from Johannesburg, South Africa, and is in his 8th season with the Washington Ballet after dancing one season with the TWB's studio company. Mr. Ndulovu began his training in Latin America and ballroom dance at the age of 10. And then at 15, he began his training in ballet under Martin Schoenberg, director of the Ballet Theater Africain. In 2007, Mr. Ndulovu performed with South African Ballet Theater, performing the lead in Don Quixote and Jester in Swan Lake, among other roles, and has since had many other important performances and has had a very long, distinguished career. And we're so honored to have both of you speak on our panel today. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started. I just want to share, I wish we could have filmed the conversation that we were having prior to appearing here. And I have to say, quite selfishly, one of the reasons I do this is the amazing people that I get to meet and how it inspires me and helps me grow. And always being able to introduce Montana to the outside world is a very important part of what we do. So I want to thank both of you for being here, Dr. Abraham Kim and Charlene Campbell, and all the people that traveled so far and the hard work and effort to make this possible. So you get to enjoy this now, but we want to say we thank all of you who makes this opportunity present for these people here today. So let's get started. We've got a video that we're going to show, and it's going to be a great dropping off point for this discussion. So if you would, please, the video.
Before we have the video, can we just have the first slide, please? The next one, sorry. So as mentioned in my curriculum vitae, I'm the director of the South African International Ballet Competition. And what is very interesting, before I came here, the concept of Ballet Beyond Borders, and Charlene Carey, thank you very much for inviting me to come. I really appreciate it, and I've loved being in Missoula. And the people here have been unbelievably, fantastically warm and welcoming. So thank you very much for having me here. The dancer on the slide in the top left or top right, or depending which way you look at it, is a rock painting that was done thousands of years ago. And we thought ballet was new. That could be any ballet position, either an à la seconde or maybe a strange arabesque or something, all depending on how you look at it. But that's the one thing. Ballet Beyond Borders, for me, there are three kinds of ballet borders. The first is within ourselves, our height, our weight, our age, and we have to overcome those borders first, and we have to go beyond them. And then secondly, it's the borders within our own country. And we have there race, economics, social standing, and many other things. And that is what started me into having the next thing, which is Q-Dansa. And Q-Dansa is Cuban dance in South Africa. And what happened was that we have for many years in South Africa been the so-called angels, taking young kids from the township, taking them to the city and training them. And yet it hasn't done what it was supposed to have done. So I've decided that we need to start creating small businesses in the townships, and we started training young South Africans who live in the township, some with ballet experience, some with no ballet experience, to become classical ballet teachers. This helps them create jobs and businesses, but at the same time is helping us to spread much wider across South Africa to find the really talented kids so that we can then put those very special kids in one place. And the Cuban methodology has been particularly pertinent to us because the Cubans look like us. They have white people, black people, and interrace people, and we love the Cubans. And politically, the relationship between the South African government and the Cuban government is fantastic, because in the Battle of Quito Catapal, the Cubans were instrumental in starting the process of stopping racial oppression in South Africa. And so in South Africa, that is a very important thing. So without knowing it, half knowing it, the relationship with Cuba developed into what it is today. And now we can go to the video, I think is the next slide, if I'm right, Shanti, yes? Apparently you just have to wait a moment and then it will load. There.
Soweto, the sprawling black township in South Africa's biggest city, Johannesburg, is synonymous with the struggle against apartheid. 2 decades after the regime of racial separation ended, many cultural divides remain. Traditionally, ballet here was for the white and wealthy. Black South Africans were excluded, leaving a legacy of disinterest. Ballet teacher Muli Mokeli is among those trying to change that.
You know, growing up, we knew ballet as being a white sport, so it's very much new to us, but I know in time, you know, it will get better.
Dirk Badenhorst judges ballet internationally. And
I'm stopping this for a minute because there's a very important and I think insightful part of the opening here. I'm going to ask Andile, who came from the townships, to help us understand what life was like in the townships. And then, of course, as that relates to you growing up and your profession. So give us some insight. And as we're thinking and hearing this, think about even some things that may correspond to situations in our own country here in the U.S., if you would.
Yeah, ballet was not a thing at all in the townships. And why I chose to do Latin American and ballroom was the only thing that was available to us
But I'd like to, and my apologies.
Yes.
Give us a sense of the physical
Physical, okay.
life of growing up in the townships in terms of what existed, what didn't exist, so the challenges that you had to face.
Oh, okay. Discrimination by being discriminated by your own kind, by your own people that share the same skin color as you, and also not having enough lights, not having running water that is consistent, where.
Can I quickly interrupt there?
Sorry.
I was teaching in Mamelodi as another township, and I was saying to the little girls, when you sit in the bath, you can think of turning out your leg. And I had this complete blank expression, and suddenly I was like, how many have baths at home? And there was a class of 37 kids.
Yeah.
And in the end, it turned out that out of the 37 kids, nobody had baths, and only one child had running water in their house. So
Yes,
that's some of the stuff, yeah.
That's the thing. So when you see that's only that one child has that privilege, the rest just that's when the fights and the conflicts come in, where you go, oh, so you're special, so I guess you're the one that can go and keep on doing ballet, and then the rest are discouraged, and they'll just go away, just from a simple thing like that, and that will discourage your mind, discourage your will to do something. It seems like somebody else comes in and separates you from the rest of us.
So in the township, as you were growing up, people that were striving to get out,
Yes.
were they looked upon in a way that you were leaving, you were then an outsider?
Yes.
So that the things that you yearned for were not encouraged?
Yes.
The type of ability to grow within that environment was not there?
Yes, it was not there because also this was not a culture. It's going out, flipping pushing the envelope and trying to do something different that no one is doing, or the norm, which is, oh yeah, you come out of the womb and you present a soccer ball, pretty much in Africa. That's what happens with any shape of ball. So, so you just disturbed me for a second, but.
The townships were designed to keep the black people outside of the beautiful city. They were designed in a way that the men had to leave their families in their villages where they came from, and the men were living in hostels, which led to a lot of fighting and drinking and really unhealthy lifestyles. And then suddenly things started changing, but the physicality of the township didn't change with it. So as you could have seen in the previous, in the beginning of the video, the roads are still not great. And it's 2017. The facilities aren't great. When we want to do ballet classes, we sometimes arrive, and it happens today to be the pension payout day, and guys with big guns will stand at the hall, and the kids can't go in, or there's suddenly a church service, and there's nothing against the church service, but really it's the ballet time now, and it just doesn't happen. And many things like that, we are still battling, even though things have changed. And that's what young kids
that still
have to
happens,
overcome.
still happens today. And so that's why we try to get out of the township. And to be honest with you, some people I know have walked from the township to town. That is about 10 hours of walking, or even half a day of walking, just to go and do something or get out. And some of them don't even come back for days. They figure out a way to find someone that will take them in and teach them something that they are not so used to, or get themselves out of the situations that they're in.
So people are clearly understanding of the differentiation of course, both the wealth, job opportunities, infrastructure or lack of, just educational opportunities. So these are some of the things that you faced as a young man growing up. So then where did that change for you? What was the spark? Who says this young man offers something that is unique here?
My mother always knew me as a very, very strange kid. You know, I
wasn't wrong.
Yes, I'm a really strange person. I'm always intuitive. I'm always asking questions. I'm always pushing you to to stop, to really stop saying, to keep me comfortable. I want you to bring yourself out of what I want you to say. If I say to you, Mother, so I want to do ballet. Mother goes, no, 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 no. I say, Mother, why? It's white. Who cares? Who said it's white? No one told me that it was white. I'm going to go there and show them that I can do it too. It's not about that. And that's when the shift happens. So from there, I started with Patricia Palman doing Latin American and ballroom in the township. Why? Because I did not have a soccer team to go and play for. And so my sister tried to go and do Latin American, and then she would pay me to go to class because I said, no, I'm not doing that. This is before ballet. And so I went there, and I went there for girls, obviously, because, you know, that's the only thing available
Not
for
a
me at
bad
that
place
moment.
to find women if you wanted to.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I did it. And then I realized I have this ability that I haven't unlocked yet. And so after that, this woman says to me, you know, you're good at Latin American, you're doing this, but man, there's more. I said, what more? Literally, goes back into her, because we used to all sleep in her house. Here we go again. My teacher used to, a four-room house. So it would be as half of the stage, where that table is, all the way to the edge of this table. That's how big the house is, with a kitchen, with a living room, with a bedroom in it. And there'll be 10 kids sleeping in the living room in sleeping bags. Or even some didn't have sleeping bags, they will have plastic bags on to keep you warm. Or we'll just huddle together. These are girls, boys, old, young, because we wanted to do it so badly. And she encouraged us to do it. Even though we saw the potential that she saw in us. And so that's what sparked it, to say, if someone cares this much, I can eat. She spends her money from work to feed me and to feed all of us, all 10 of us, to go and buy in bulk and support us. So
what the training teacher in the program is doing is we're actually working with, one of the teachers that we are working is Patricia. And in the past, she was always struggling to find ballet teachers to go and teach where they are, because it's about 45 minutes outside of Johannesburg, and it's a mission to get there. Public transport is not easy. And so we have started training young people in Ennerdale, which is where Patricia lives, to become ballet teachers. And can we maybe, Shanti, continue with the video, please? Don't leave the desk.
Dirk Badenhorst judges ballet internationally and organizes ballet competitions in South Africa. He's pushing to bring more ballet teachers to Soweto.
Are the conditions ideal to do what we are doing? No. Is it the perfect way of doing it? No. But if we don't start somewhere, we're never going to have it.
One of his recruits is Maria de Los Angeles Quintanilla, known affectionately as Miss Maria, an experienced ballet instructor from Cuba. She arrived in South Africa a few months ago and has already developed a strong bond with her students. I have always loved children, she says, but God didn't give me the chance to have my own. The talent is one thing, the physical ability is something else, she says. We need to give the children time to develop the skills, as well as to demonstrate they have real talent.
Ballet has never been big in the Black Townships. There is zero history here. For one thing, there were never any qualified teachers, but now there are. These are the first.
The classes cost $10 a month, but if a family can't afford it, the program doesn't charge. Toba Karl Halla is learning to become one of the instructors.
It is an opportunity that has been available for the minority and the few that can actually be able to afford that. But through these classes and this program, would be able to be disciples to spread it and make it even much wider.
Gustin Mageladisa is a professional dancer and choreographer, also learning to teach.
We need to break away from this thing of saying, oh, this is a white form of dance, or this is a platform of dance. People need to start getting engaged in other things. So we need to train the kids at a very young age, and that's how you spot talent.
So I love that moment, because the border that exists between the Zulu dance that Andile did earlier and the Le Corsaire that he won the scholarship to go to Washington is one of the things that we are constantly having to overcome. And for me, a border doesn't just keep people out, it also has to let people in. And so that is part of the journey and the struggle that we have in South Africa, is to let people understand that when you say you support ballet, it doesn't mean you don't support the Zulu dance as well. You actually support all forms of dance, everything that will keep the kids off the street, keep the kids creative. I keep on saying the solutions for Africa's problems need to come from Africa, and the arts is what will give us the creativity to be able to develop those solutions. And that really is what is so amazing about the fact that Andile could have come from there and is sitting right next to me and dancing in the Washington Ballet. Can we continue?
John Zunke didn't have an opportunity to take ballet lessons until he was 20, but he is the rare black South African who went on to perform with the Johannesburg Ballet. Now 28, he's excited to be teaching.
To give them what I didn't have, and opportunities to choose, and to train them something that I never had chances to do, and be able to do it and have the most basic thing, foundation.
And it's quite nice.
Connie September is a former cabinet minister and member of parliament with the governing African National Congress. She has pushed the ANC to embrace ballet and recognize its potential.
Okay, so again, part of the journey is, and on 2 nights ago, was it yesterday, Charlene, you had a congressman at your event. For us to have any political support 5 years ago was completely unthinkable. And yet, at the last ballet competition in 2016, the Speaker of Parliament and the previous chairperson of the ANC, or African National Congress, literally flew in for 45 minutes to watch part of the competition and then make a speech and then see our young South African dancer Leroy Mokgatle, who then moved on to the Dutch National Ballet, and then she left. The reason why I bring that up and the reason why Ms. September is so important is that it is changing. It is becoming better slowly, very slowly. And that is part of the diplomacy efforts that we have to play. We have to overcome a lot of preconceived ideas. We have to overcome a lot of negativity. We have to overcome many things that people in France take for granted because they've had ballet for 300, 400, 500 years. We are not there yet. And so also in the same vein, the ballet, and this is what is also interesting from this particular competition, is that we constantly are asked to look at artistry rather than technique, because you cannot really compare 300 years of ballet with 2 years of ballet. But if you don't start, as I have mentioned, you will never get there. But also you speak to a different audience. To make ballet that will be accessible to a Sowetan, and I say that very respectfully, is very different from making ballet that is being watched by a person in Paris. And it doesn't have to do anything with race. It has to do with 300 years of cultivating the art form and the people that watch it.
You mentioned something when we were outside discussing this. 30 years ago, you two could not have sat on the same stage together.
That's right.
And there's a consistency here of white and black and race that cannot be ignored. And art and diplomacy, as I continue to think about this, is one of the ways to break through that barrier. So, as you were going to add something to this
yes,
idea.
you know, when I left South Africa, I left as a ballet dancer. I didn't leave as a Zulu dancer, I didn't leave as a Latin American and ballroom dancer. So since the day I left, I said I'm going to take my culture to the world. And whether they want to see it or not, I'm going to show it to them. And so all these years, I have been searching and searching and searching to show my culture. And every time I even choreograph for something and I present it out, where I've been to Korea, Japan, and many other countries as well, where I've taken a piece of what Africa is or what my country is and send it out there and tell a story about what I'm doing. Once I choreographed a piece called, I can't remember it now, but something African child or something like that. And I was in a suit, saying, doing the juxtaposition of, this is not an African child. An African child does not wear a suit. You don't get up and wear a suit. And after that, underneath my suit, I was wearing a Zulu outfit. And I took that off and threw it all over the ground. And I said, this is me. Don't think this is me. This is not me. So don't perceive me like that. Just remember that I also do have a culture. I come from somewhere. So now I'm teaching you how all of us can be together in this culture, and also you teach me yours. And I've been going around the world, really, literally going to people and saying, what's your culture, what's your culture, what's your culture? Show me something, show me something. Show me authentic Japanese dancing or tribal dancing or cultural dancing. I go to each and every country to see those things. And that has opened my mind as well. So diplomacy really helps culturally, because then you get to understand the next person. Because if we don't understand that, how are we in Africa gonna go back and teach that and change minds?
But that's why it's also important to do it in South Africa. And in September last year, I hosted an international ballet gala with stars from around the world, but also brought Andile back, and we were mixing classical ballet with another truly South African dance called Pantsula. And it really started bringing white South Africans to understand more the Pantsula dance, and black South Africans to understand the ballet. And it's that internal diplomacy that for me is so important, because that's where we have to start. That's where we have to overcome so many things, while at the same time he's doing the work outside of the country. We have to continue doing the work inside the country, so that it's a parallel process. You can't wait for the one and then let the other. It will take too long. We have so much to catch up on.
You told a very fascinating story just shortly about taking a trip to Russia and diplomacy and breaking down barriers, if you would share that.
So in 2006, the South African Ballet Theatre, of which I was the head at that stage, we decided to go to Russia. And people said, in South Africa, they were very much against it, because they were thinking, why would you take ballet to Russia from South Africa? And for me, it was about benchmarking first and foremost, but also about showing South African, because 3 of the pieces were choreographed by South African choreographers. And we struggled to get the South African embassy to buy 50 tickets, which was $1,000 US. May I repeat that? $1,000 US for the performance, because they said it was too much money. Of course, we were being diplomatic, and we convinced them in the end, after 3 or 4 months, to buy that, and it became 150 tickets. And I went before, and then bumped into 2 of the Department of Arts and Culture in South Africa's officials, who I tried very hard to get hold of in South Africa. And they were in Russia with a group spending $2,000 a day on doing performances for 6 people in the audience. We got there, and in the end, our performance was sold out. It was very well received. And after we had finished, we went away to other parts of Eastern Europe, and a week later we came back. And the South African ambassador, who had arrived in Russia 8 months before, then in the week after the ballet performances, had received more invitations to other embassies and diplomatic events than in the previous 8 months. And so after that, he has become one of my biggest fans, because he started understanding the value of ballet diplomacy, the value of being able to connect through this international language, but using South African artists. And so that is really what this is about for me. And this is why we have to continue doing what we're doing. Please, Shanti.
The kids are being trained by those that are very familiar to themselves, that can speak the language, that understand them, and so on, is quite important. If we get this thing right, it will be an absolute explosion in many of our townships.
The classes are attracting children like 8-year-old Felitso Kamani. This is the house in Soweto where she lives with her parents and 2 brothers. Her father is unemployed and her mother works at a supermarket, earning $260 a month.
No, I don't have the money to pay like more money. I think it's expensive at the real school.
She will have an opportunity to understand different cultures. If she is lucky, she will go in different, maybe she can go to Spain, or maybe she can go to Canada and learn about those countries and learn more about the culture of dancing.
Ballet is well established in the former whites-only areas of Johannesburg, still predominantly white, but attitudes toward black participation in ballet have changed. Natasha Ireland is a former ballerina who now teaches.
They have a very difficult and very hard life, which we unfortunately don't understand or realize because we haven't lived through it.
Ireland's studios are state-of-the-art, and lessons here cost 10 times higher than in Soweto. But she believes bringing ballet to the townships is long overdue.
There is a lot of talent out there, and
There's a couple of things here that really stand out. The mother earns $260 a month. If we go to a nice restaurant in Missoula, we take some friends, a couple of bottles of wine, a couple of good dinners, and a tip, you're going to be $250. Just to put a little in perspective. As I listened to this, you had mentioned about building up in terms of when you started, there were 6 people. Now there's 1,000. And how that then, as we see this, think about how that buildup then grows and spreads. And where does that support come from? Because there was also some insight as to the South African government and what at the moment is somewhat problematic in terms of where resources are allocated.
I would say how these resources are allocated is that the Arts and Culture Trust and National Arts Council in South Africa, they are an organization that is connected, right? And they're connected with the government. So what they do is they have these festivals. So they call it cultural, right? And they have budgets, major budgets, that should go through to ballet, to anything that is cultural, right? To African dance, to music, to people learning how to play violins, and to go to the orchestras as well, to make sure that there's an opera or there's ballet orchestra. The ballet uses orchestra to play. So what they do is they have friends that filter money around themselves, and that is what's crippling us. And what happens is now they will have a festival. So they'll put up a big tent, or they'll build up in rands. Let's say, how much is 1 million rands in dollars?
90,000 US dollars.
Yeah, 90,000 US dollars. They'll build a tent, a big, massive tent, and they will have artists. They will have a Zulu dance. That I'm talking about just 6 people in a group, and the musicians is just 2 musicians, and they'll run a show, and they'll have actors and people to tell jokes. People like AKA Trevor Noah, who was struggling as well. Trevor Noah would go on stage as well and still be discriminated for his color of his skin.
And the artist will receive that much, and the
Yes.
administrators will fly business class to the event and stay in the 5-star hotel, while the artist will be told you can find a bed and breakfast, and if you're lucky, it will have a nice breakfast.
Yeah, and what we were offered, if I would do something like this, in dollars, the lady said 250, right? A month.
Right.
I would get $10 for that performance. And I would have an hour-long performance. And $10. That doesn't include transportation, food, or anything else. You only get food on the day of the show. The rehearsals, how many days? 2 weeks probably. So already you're struggling just to get to rehearsal. So what about the rest? And whether you cry, whether you don't cry, you're still gonna be left to just be empty, really. But because of the pride and the respect of what you do and the joy of where you come from and this whole thing of overcoming, that's what makes me mad, because I'm so tired of overcoming. There's some people that are not overcoming anymore, and I have to still keep overcoming. How long am I going to overcome? That was something that made me really upset. So that's how the funds are stretched out along the way.
So when we were talking outside, I was talking about the fact that the director in the Department of Arts and Culture, in charge of cultural development, who is really a fantastic guy, at the age of 40-odd, has never been to a classical ballet performance, has never seen live classical ballet. And yes, it's frustrating, but on the other hand, it is my job to try and educate as well. If I don't, it's never going to happen. If we don't bring Andile back, he will not be the role model for the next Andile and the next and next. And the multiplier effect that Bob had spoken about just now. Originally it was 6 kids, now I have 1,000, somebody else has 200, somebody else. And it is growing and growing and growing. And at one stage we are going to be able to have a ballet revolution. And that's really what I'm striving towards, is to be able to get to a point where we will have enough voices in and outside of South Africa saying, we want this thing called classical ballet. Can we continue, please?
I'm vexed and stressed because I got the big sign of the 5 minutes, actually now 1 minute. So I feel that we've just given we've just teased you with what could be an hour-long conversation from this point forward, and would love to engage the audience with questions, because I know you do have those questions. These two wonderful gentlemen will be around. If you do wish to approach and ask some questions, I think they would be very happy to answer and engage with you. I can't say enough for the effort and time that you have taken to come here and to share with us. We are so grateful for that and honored to have both of you here. And I'd like to give each of you an opportunity to say what you wish to Montanans and the message that you want to leave here today.
I'd like to wish that we all understand where each other come from, and to have the understanding of how could we be of service to anyone that we meet. I really believe in service, and it's my biggest motto. So if we all can just come together and share in what we bring to Montana and out of Montana, because we have to take these memories. Memories are really grateful. I'm just gonna go downstairs and write something about this today because it's a memory. So one day I don't want to forget it. So I really think that everyone here should go back and write in your diaries about the memories that you've had in Montana, because that is something that you can take with you longer, and one day you will read about it and say, hey, I met Andile, and now he's like a famous movie star, right? So and I can say the same thing and say, I want to go back to Montana and see everyone that lives there, that I've shared so much with, that I have been part of this Ballet Beyond Borders. And I'm really appreciative of Charlene to find me somewhere in this country and bring me here and bring my African heritage and African culture to you. And I'm really happy about that. And thank you so much for having me here. I would love to come back more and more to see all you guys' lovely faces and your warm spirits. So thank you so much for being part of Ballet Beyond Borders, because I respect every one of you. And thank you so much.
Andile, thank you.
We are hosting the 6th South African International Ballet Competition in Cape Town, the 26th of February to the 4th of March. So let there not be borders between Ballet of Montana and all of the teachers that are here. Come to South Africa, come and experience what we are doing, come and help with what we are doing, support emotionally, physically, financially if you can. And I would like, Andile spoke of how Charlene had found him. I think one person that both of us share as a very, very special friend of ours who is South African born but lives in New York is Shala again. And Shala, thank you very much for all that you do.
Thank you, Shala.
Ongoingly. You are indeed a very special person. Charlene, thank you very much. And Bob, thank you very much for a wonderful time with all of you. What do you call yourself? Missoulians?
Missoulians.
Missoulians. Missoulians, you are a wonderful bunch of people. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for returning for the final portions of our Art of Diplomacy conference. Performances and presentations will be continuous until 2 p.m., and we ask that you quietly continue to enjoy your lunch and to be mindful of the lecturers and performers when entering and exiting the ballroom. We will begin with Centro de Artes Escénicas from Panama performing Congo dance.
A ti nada más te quiero, a ti nada más, a ti nada más moreno para bailar. A ti nada más te quiero, a ti nada más, a ti nada más moreno para bailar. Ayorelele, ayorelela, a ti nada más moreno para bailar. A ti nada
Thank you, Centro de Artes Escénicas of Panama. Next, please welcome Tessa Halshu, co-founder and executive director of She ASA, She Action Sports Association, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to empower women while increasing their enjoyment and confidence in action sports. Tessa is also a 4-time silver medalist in slopestyle and rail jam competitions, including the 2017 USSA Junior National Championships and the 2017 and 2016 US ASA National Championships. With slopestyle and rail jam create stunning performances of athletic skill and creative expression through jumps, flips, and rail riding on skis or a snowboard. Please also welcome Diana Halshu, co-founder of She ASA and Director of Branch Operations and Regional Outreach at the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis. Diana facilitates a national Native homebuyer readiness work group in her support of the 9th Federal Reserve Bank Center for Indian Country Development and serves on the advisory committee of the Native Financial Education Coalition. Please welcome Tessa and Diana.
When I was a kid, I used to stare out the car window and pretend that I was flying. There was no car, no road, just me darting in and out of the trees, over the hills, over the streams. Let's just stare out the window for a while.
That's another video. Well, my name is Diana Halshu, and I'm Tessa's mother. And what we want to share with you today about an organization that we've recently incorporated in the state of Montana is really, for us, a really personal journey. We wanted to share that video with you so that you could see a little bit of that experience without us having to tell you everything. But it all really started when Tessa was 12 years old, and I'm a single mother, and we were going through a difficult time in our family, and I went into Tessa's bedroom one night, and she was sitting on the floor, and she was crying, and I said, "Hey, T, what's wrong?" And she said, "I just don't know how I'm ever going to do all this." And I said, "Do all what?" And she said, "All this." And I looked up on the wall in her bedroom, and there were these sticky notes all over the wall, and so I started to pull them down. What is all this? And it was, I want to zip line, I want to go zip lining, I want to swim with dolphins, I want to ski at regional and national ski competitions. I want to walk the Way of St. James in Spain. So as a 12-year-old and a single mom, I said, you know, Tess, I don't really have anything to do right now either, so we'll do this together. And so that's what we set out to do. And that's what we did. So we actually went ziplining with the Mike Mansfield Center and a group of folks that were here around an energy summit that we participated in, and with Conrad Anker even from Bozeman, Montana. We went swimming with the dolphins, and we went to regional ski competitions.
And we're actually walking the Way of St. James next year in May. One thing that I really want to talk about along our journey, a few concepts that my mom taught me. One of them was show up for your dreams. And the way that that was presented to me and how I really got to understand it was we were on our way to a ski competition, one of my first ones, in Bryan Head, Utah, and we were faced by a huge snowstorm. And my competition eventually got canceled that day, but we made it up to the mountain. And even though we drove all the way from Montana to Utah, we showed up for my dreams. And so that's one of my favorite things I've ever learned from my mom. And then another one is fail up. And I really understood fail up by having high expectations and not always exceeding those high expectations and still being able to take away the most positive things I possibly can from any opportunity. And I think that's really changed my perception on a lot of things that I do today.
So it was during this journey that Tessa and I realized that, you know, for a young girl in an action sport, seriously competing, that, you know, sometimes we would show up at competitions and Tessa would be the only girl. Or there wouldn't be a platform of, you know, competitors that would allow her to challenge herself to really excel. And even a lot of times having to ski and train with male coaches and male riders. And she actually, when she was at Wendell's Academy, would travel across the country and across the world even to New Zealand or other locations. And most of the rest of the ski team were boys. And so it was a difficult journey for her. We realized that there are issues with women's safety and a lot of barriers and stigmas for girls in action sports of all kinds. And that's why we created ASA, Action Sports Association, to empower women in action sports. And also, ASA is recently funded or recently incorporated in Montana. It's incorporated as an with an international scope. It's a member organization. We've applied for a 501c3. We're waiting for that to come back, but we really are hoping that our members will come from all walks of life and all sports. We have folks that we've talked to that are interested in ASA from the concept of fly fishing or hiking or mountain biking or rock climbing, surfing, really dance, anything that is an action sport that women can go out and have strong confidence and excel at. And we're focused on empowering them in that space. That's what I do. I shut it off. There we go.
Okay, so this is our vision. And one of the things that I am most passionate about through ASA is that we are raising awareness and funding scientific studies on women's safety in all sports, especially action sports. If you think about a guy and a girl, we're physically different. And if you think of it in the context of skiing, a guy skis with his chest and a girl skis with his hips, or a girl skis with her hips. Sorry. And so we really want to promote and inspire and raise awareness that girls should have our own events, and we should, like, yeah, have our own safety and our own equipment. And
some of the ways that we do that is we empower women while increasing their enjoyment and confidence in action sports. We work to increase access and participation by females in action sports programs. And we strive to eliminate social stigmas and provide positive role models for women in action sports. Some of the ways that we do that are through research, and we have a few signature programs, including She ASA Mentor Me and She ASA Ride With Me, to help build the community and hold up positive role models for all women in action sports. We also acknowledge that a lot of the enjoyment that we have in our action sports is with the men that we train with and ride with and our coaches, and there are many, many great men in action sports and who support women in action sports. And we believe that that's an important part of what our organization will foster and embrace. And so as a result of that, we've created We Ambassadors, who are affiliate members of She ASA. It can also be an affiliate member that is a organization, a grassroots local organization that's working, that She ASA will partner with and embrace and support at a national and international level. We'll have signature programs called like We Ride and other things that really embrace that partnership and embrace everyone, and we are inclusive as an organization.
so one of the first things that we're going to do through She ASA is give back. And we are going to have a program called Project Warmth, where we will take a percentage of our proceeds and give back to kids who maybe don't have been provided a jacket or mittens or a hat to keep them warm.
And finally, Tessa and I are 2 of 3 co-founders. Our third partner is a man named Bud Keene, who was the Shaun White, the snowboarder's Olympic coach for all 4 of his Olympic gold medals. And Bud Keene is our partner in She ASA. He's also the founder and owner of a training program called BK Pro. And so he's one of our BK Pro is one of our strongest partners at this time, and a partner as we move forward.
And lastly, if you're interested, give us a like on Instagram, or a follow on Instagram, a like on Facebook. We just are opening our Instagram and Facebook today, so it's all new.
Yeah, you can literally be the first to follow us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tessa and Diana Halshu. Please join me in welcoming the moderator of our next panel, Leslie Stevens. Leslie has danced as a soloist with Hubbard Street Dance Chicago for 5 seasons, the Dayton Ballet for 2 seasons, and kicked her way around the Broadway scene for more than a decade. She has danced, acted, and sung her way through 25 years of professional theater and has danced as principal soloist in 16 operas with the LA Opera. Her choreography achievements include the award-winning 3D theatricals in Orange County, California. Productions include Into the Woods, Sideshow, The Full Monty, Hello Dolly, and a reimagined and original Oklahoma. This season, she made her choreographic debut at Walt Disney Concert Hall with the LA Philharmonic's main stage production of Nixon in China. Please join me in welcoming Leslie Stevens.
Hello. I'm enjoying so much all of these conversations, and I'm really honored to continue being a part of discussing how dance has a role in all these different areas. I have these wonderful artists that are going to join me, so please come on up, and I'll introduce you as you have a seat. It's quite a daunting title we have here, The Secrets of Being a Global Leader and Artist. So I don't know that I am going to unveil any secrets to you, but but really what I was hoping to do was open a discussion about kind of the shifting roles of a performing artist entering the professional world and how that is both different and empowering because of the role of social media and the way that we can essentially shape our personas or shape how our work is seen or what pieces of it are seen, how it is shared and advertised. It's a different element. We used to be told to do some marketing, which was having a headshot. And it's a completely different game now. So there's an opportunity there as well as some interesting pitfalls. So I thought we could discuss, and if I can go down the line here, do you guys have microphone? Oh, okay, I'll start on that end. I'll start on the end. So Astrid Sherman, and I'm going to read a little of your bio, if I may, because I've met them here at the ballet events in Missoula in the past. She's the artistic director of Catching Art Contemporary Ballet Theater and Pro Art Center, the professional training school. And she is, I will just read what this bio says. After graduating from Pretoria Technikon School of the Performing Arts in South Africa and training in Johannesburg, Astrid Sherman went on to dance professionally with the NAPACA Ballet Company in Durban, South Africa. Her work transitions between ballet and modern and neoclassical dance. And she has a great passion to empower others through movement. And it prompted her to continue her studies. She was awarded a highly regarded and internationally recognized advanced level teaching qualification of fellowship from the Imperial School for Teachers of Dance. And she has a really wonderful and noted school it's in North Vancouver, Canada. So thank you for joining us, Astrid.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I get a chance to try to say this. Enrique Perez Cancio Cantero. Bam. Okay. And Enrique is a teacher and a choreographer and a performer and apparently and a choreographer and a prolific choreographer. Apparently you create...
Performer 30 kilos ago.
Yeah. Choreography burns a lot of calories of the brain. Enrique studied ballet theater, plastic arts, photography, illumination, set design, and directing at the CEDART, C-E-D-A-R-T, Center of Artistic Education in Querétaro, Mexico. And for 2.5 years, he studied at the Trinidad National Center of Contemporary Dance in Mexico and studied all different techniques, Graham and Alexander and Horton and Limon. And he formed in 2007, he formed part of the Youth Company of Classical Ballet of Catalunya in Barcelona, Spain, and he later formed the EPC Dance Company and left Spain, touring different countries in Europe and America, presenting the company in a variety of festivals. So he's really bringing his role as a mentor and a choreographer of young people with a diverse background. So thank you, Enrique. We have so Patrick Palkins, and we've just met here a couple of times. I don't have a bio, but I know that you are a professional male ballet dancer who is a principal with Cincinnati Ballet and is now has joined Boston Ballet as a new core member. Are you just in your second year or first year? First year. And but you are from Montana. Montana, aren't you? Yes.
I grew up in Lewistown.
Excellent. And I'm so happy that we have some current Woo! Yeah. That's awesome. That we have some current performers who can also speak to some of the maintaining your professional identity in the cyberspace. And then we have another dancer, Alina Ciceo from Romania. And Alina won first place in the duets with her partner Radu Domsa at the Vienna International Ballet Experience USA in 2017 in Missoula and at Vibe International in 2016 in Vienna. And she's currently the artistic director and owner of Jump In Dance Company in Romania. She's also a teacher at the School of Choreography, Octavian Stroia. Very good. All right. For the National Olympiad of Choreography. And she's very active performing and teaching and choreographing. So I'm grateful to have you with her. And I think some of us have seen her perform this week also, which is great. Thank you very much for being here.
Hello, and it's very good to be back. Thank you, Charlene.
So Charlene Campbell, Charlene is essentially the inspired piece of sand that creates the pearl of this experience. You know, she's is the artistic director of Rocky Mountain Ballet Theater and has created this opportunity for all of us to come together. I think of Charlene as one of those people who pulls people together and makes connections. I don't know what you call that. You call that somebody that makes stuff happen. So I'm so grateful for you providing us all with the impetus to be here. Yay. That's right. And we go all the way back to when I was a dancer with Hubbard Street in Chicago. So we go all the way back to our dance roots as young people. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, this topic about taking over the world with the arts, and I mean, that's a lofty goal indeed, but really for young people that are entering into the professional world, they have all their talent and all their charisma and all their ferocious young energy, but just getting the job or the first job or the first contract or something like that, that's the beginning. That's not, it's the culmination of all your work as a student, but it's just the beginning of your artistic journey as an adult and an artist going forward. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, in order to take over the world, I have found that you really need to develop a support structure as a human being and an artist in order to go forward into the professional scene. It's joyful and it's exciting, but it's not something you really can do well all on your own. There are connections to be made or maintained with teachers or mentors, other choreographers, fellow dancers, and those connections, that network evolves as you step into the professional world, and I think it's important to make it a conscious evolution. The kind of challenges that come up aren't always doing a piece of choreography or just moving your technique forward. They're more human being challenges. So I don't know if I wanted to turn this to the panel or if anyone that is currently, I think we could ask some of our current performers, some of the things that they use to maintain a network kind of support to do what they do, which is challenging, and then some of our teachers and choreographers, how you try to maintain that, or how do you launch your students when they're ready to go into the professional world. I don't know if anybody wants to take the ball first. Is there anything that you have found really helps you maintain your the trajectory of your work? Teachers, coaches, people that you connect with that help you do what you do well?
Well, in Romania it was very difficult after we gave up on communism because the recovering was so in a long term, and we tried to go more on Occident, but we were not raised to do that, so we just need to find a way how to embrace everything from Occident. And it was very difficult, especially on dancing, because it was a great evolution of a ballet dancing. And we have the chance, our teachers, our good ballerinas had the chance to go and study abroad and come back and bring us a lot of information. So that was, I think, the major step ahead for our dance community. It was a little bit more difficult on contemporary, and we are still trying to figure out how to improve our background for contemporary, because we need to travel abroad and we need to go to workshops and we need to learn and study so much. And I encourage all my students to learn everything from everywhere. And there's a lot of things to tell. I'm just trying to make a short resume. In Romania, it was very, very difficult to find ourselves because we were so lost after the socialism and the communists just fell down, and we were just trying to figure out who we are and what are we doing with so much freedom and democracy. We were just having so much information, and we still have a lot of information, and I think it's everywhere. We just need to take care of our children, what they take and from where they take. And I think it's very important to internet, it's a very huge tool nowadays for inspiration, but I think it's very important to teach our children to don't give up to creativity and to keep searching on themselves and keep struggling with taking over their condition and make big goals and dream big.
Alina,
And-
I have a question
yeah.
for you. Did you have a specific mentor that had an impact on you?
I didn't have a mentor, but I had a huge international festival of contemporary and contact improvisation in Romania that really changed my life. There was so many professional teachers, and they just bring in front of my eyes what is dance. And since then, I couldn't stop to search for more valuable information. It's so important to have the real roots and to have like authentic information and movement and philosophy. So since then, my life changed, and I figured out that I have to dig more, and I need to search over what I had on the Romanian market at that time.
So then something like this also serves that kind of purpose, having all these different artists, their information available to you. I'm wondering, Patrick, did you have, would you say, a specific mentor or someone or a teacher whose input you find has impacted the trajectory as you entered the professional world?
I would say it'd be hard to say I only had one. I consider myself to be really lucky in the sense that I have had many. Charlene is one of them, person who can introduce you to and help you to meet more people to, obviously as you further your career. I want to say 3 or 4 probably, I could come to mind right away, that aside from giving counsel, from giving you secrets of the trade, things that you have a hard time learning on your own, they were just there to be a vent sometimes, or to be, like you were talking about, a support system. I think mentorship is incredibly important. We lose some of that. The secrets of the trade, the ability to conduct yourself in rehearsals, and even as a person outside of your artistic self, those mentors are really invaluable. And if you're lucky enough to stumble upon some of them, letting go, it's not something you should ever think about doing. Those mentors can stay with you for your entire career. And I think sometimes when we move further away from mentorship, we lose quite a lot. Like you're talking about information or simply a support system. Those people that tell you that, hey, you're doing a good job. Keep trucking. Having that person there in your corner is invaluable.
So, and I'm wondering then for some of our Enrique or Astrid, that you're involved more in teaching and coaching at this point in your careers. Is there a way that you encourage some of your students to stay in touch with you, or how can you maintain that kind of connection, or I don't know, how do you find that?
It's wonderful. The students come back and take class. We encourage them to come back and take class, and it's always wonderful for our younger students to see the older students popping in, coming to say hello, taking class. Social media is a wonderful tool of keeping in contact with some of our graduates. So we're always updating them. They keep me updated. So social media in that sense has been a boon to keep in contact with them. And they're still coming back and asking me advice. Hopefully I'm giving them good advice. The contacts that we make worldwide and we share with our students is invaluable. And I'm grateful for everybody who shared with me, and I feel it's my duty then to pass that on to my students.
Yeah, I'm finding that more and more as a teacher also, that I feel the responsibility of who I was able to learn from, and especially those that are no longer with us. I realized, then the responsibility is on me to make sure that information gets out to the next generation of people. Enrique, is there anything you want to chime in about mentorship?
First of all, I'm sorry if I don't speak an amazing English. I will try. or maybe I can use my own words invented by me and thinking that they are English. Just let me feel the emotion I am doing correctly, okay? Yeah, I think for me, teach is more share. It's not really teach, because we learn everybody from everybody. I learned something just right now for every one of the words of the people was here in the morning, now on my side, on my front. As teacher, I think that's all what I do, and all what we do. We always, I think, I'm not a father, of course. My baby is still here. But I feel that we are trying to do always the best of the other ones, of our students, and try to give them what we don't get. I think the fathers is what they do, father and mothers, no? The parents. In general, for me, in my own experience, all my life was needing of survive. So I don't teach really dance. I just try to help them to understand how to do what they want to do. Maybe it's in a ballet class, but at the end, for me it's okay if they at the end as choreographers, light designer, I don't know, stage manager, or maybe they just decide to go physiotherapy, or maybe law, or doctors, or it's okay. Just everything is just like a part of your education. So I think it's just that. I have so many mentors in my life, and all of them, nobody was that dancer actually. But I follow my dream, you know, and I think I get as much I want always in my life. Everything what I want, I get it. More late or more early, sometimes faster, sometimes not, but always have it. And this is my meta, I don't know how to say meta, my deal with that. This is what I really want to do, that my students get that. At the end of the way, they just get what they want. Just try to find what they want.
And I really like that you brought up that your mentors were not necessarily dance people or trained in dancing, but they were helping you to connect with what was really driving you. Charlene, because you have so many students, and at this point, grown students and a whole host of professional people. So how does that work, then being their teacher and their mentor and having them stay connected to you? I don't know, how has that been showing up in your experience?
Well, my mentor was my own mother and Patricia Wilde, who was here 2 years ago. So, and I remain very close to every memory and every word she ever said to me, Patricia Wilde, and my mother, I would say. But listening a little bit to the different experiences down the line here, I mean, for me, coming to Montana was sort of coming to the frontier, you know, starting all over. So we've started fresh with, you know, the classical ballet roots, but I would say that our students my intent was always to not hold on to them. Your intent is to gently push them out of the nest, and that's why they do come back. They don't come back if you hold on to them, and there's no reason to hold on to them or your own children at home either, right? So they come back. They come back. Sometimes they come back and go to China, or they go to Italy, or we're not sure where they're going to come back. But I also think it's important to realize that I like every kind of dancer, and I like every kind of body and every kind of mind. So when you're talking about the tidbits, it's like Enrique said, you know, you're only trying to help them find where they're going to find success, which would be any mother or father too. So if they're going off on a path that maybe is not going to be the ultimately best choice for them, you try and give them a few other options. And when they find them, they're primarily very successful because they kind of found it their way there gently, I think. But we've got every kind of dancer. If you haven't seen it yet on stage, you'll
think
see
I
it
have.
tonight, right? And then including all the traditional dances from other cultures as well. But I don't think you can be a good ballet dancer if you can't do all of it, in my opinion. And I don't mean the technical part, I mean the loving part.
So one of the things that I that I have found is that as you enter into the professional world, or certainly what I found, that I went to New York and I had an image in my mind based on a movie I had been watching. So I assumed that I would be able to walk into an audition with Bob Fosse and introduce myself, and he would say, "I have been waiting for you, thank God." But that wasn't exactly how it went down, but it wasn't that far off. And the reason I bring that up is that I had an image in my mind of the professional people that I really wanted to work with, or who I was really moved by, and I was working towards getting a grasp of that aesthetic, that I understood that artist, that choreographer, that director was creating, and I loved what he created. I wanted to be a part of it. So I sought to make connections to get me in a place where I could meet that person and let them know, I really want to work with you. Now, the answer won't always necessarily be yes, but I can't state it. I've seen it so many times, and now other students that I have that go forward to seek out the artists that you're interested in collaborating with and that you're interested in learning from, and don't be afraid to use your mentors or your teachers or other choreographers to help you make those connections, to present your interest, because the answer can be yes. Or it can be, I'm interested in you, I don't think you're ready, but why don't you assist my friend here? Every artist likes to have the next wave of young talent be interested and supportive of what you're doing. So I don't know if you guys have any kind of thing to add on to that, but I wanted to, if I don't say that's a secret of anything, but don't think that there's a door of human connection that can't be opened by a genuine desire to appreciate and offer something to their work. So it might be an audition, or it might be asking to be part of a workshop, or part of assisting at a production. Or I don't know if any of you guys had an experience like that. That was one very specifically where I went into an audition, and I think it's funny because I had a very naive idea, but it wasn't really that far off. I don't know if anybody's had an experience like that. I know there are ballet auditions, but making connections between my student has this gift, I think they might connect well here. I think that's what happens here, isn't it? The scholarships and...
Actually, I've got a goofy one.
Please.
So, I'm not crazy about all the technology that I rely on literally 24 hours constantly. But without Facebook, I wouldn't know most of the dancers here. And not just during this week, I mean, every day I wouldn't know them. And you would be surprised how many, and I mean huge amounts would be the statistic. I didn't find them. They found me, and they found me on Facebook, and they sent me their video, or they sent me their story, and that's how the whole relationship began. And they don't always wind up here, but it doesn't mean they're not going to wind up here in 3 months or 6 months, or I'm going to meet them in some other part of the world. But what that leads you to is that walking through the door, it's amazing how many young people are looking for the next step in whatever direction that is. And the internet has provided that accessibility.
Absolutely. So then that sort of is our segue then, looking at how, and any of you can jump in if you want, how the whole, I mean, we're all learning the language of the internet because it's evolving in front of us like a yellow brick road. I mean, nobody has it all finished. As soon as I figured out how to do one thing, then my phone can do something else. So, I'm quite sure the younger students and competitors are ahead of me of how they can video their rehearsals and how they can edit and send or manipulate that material. But it really does change the way that we can connect. But it also changes, I think, our responsibility on how we put our images out there. And I don't know if anybody want to pick up that ball.
Yes, teaching young students, it's a changing world. 10 years ago, I was helping my 16, 17, 18-year-old students write their resumes, get them good dance shots. now I have to advise them on what they're putting on their Facebook pages, Instagram pages, that they need a professional Instagram page, aside from what the images they send to their peers. But just recently, and so probably in the last 2 years, I'm even having to start advising 8-year-olds. So it's not really the 8-year-olds, it's their parents. Some of the parents are starting to set up Twitter accounts, Instagram accounts for their 8-year-olds. I'm still old school, I'm not so sure, but it's a phenomenon that is happening. I'd love to hear from directors how they feel about young dancers coming to audition who have thousands and thousands of fans on their Instagram page. Does it affect if they want you in their company? Does it affect their opinion of you or how you will fit into a company, work within a company?
That's very interesting. Patrick, have you seen, I mean, do most of your peers in Boston, do they all have their own professional web pages or professional like Instagram accounts? How is that?
I would say that professional is where the line is being, it's difficult to draw. A lot of people just have their own personal Instagram accounts and Facebook pages and things like that have accumulated so many followers or so many friends or whatever it may be that I think just recently we've run into this idea of now how do we use this wealth of this audience that you already built? Like a few years ago, I was in Cincinnati Ballet, and we were doing a performance of Val Caniparoli's Lady of the Camellias, which is a beautiful ballet, but it has a very old-fashioned touch to it. And so our ads were not sparking the kind of people, the kind of audience response we wanted. And 2 weeks before our performance, we had one of the members of the staff come to the entire company and ask them, can everyone please share on your personal pages, on your personal accounts? Can you start to try to promote the ballet? Our ticket sales are, to be quite frank, they were abysmal for that show. And the company had to rely on the dancers' personal accounts because they had that audience was already built. It's there. We just didn't know how to kind of tap into it. And that kind of leads me to my next thought, which is, as far as directors are concerned, what's becoming a big issue is credit. Now, how do we ensure that every time a picture is shared, that the photographer is given credit, that the choreographer is given credit, costume designing, all of this, the production, that's what the biggest issue now is, kind of policing, because no one has this rule of you must have a professional Instagram account or you must have a professional website. It's still such muddy water that we're having a difficult time trying to police it. And not only get out the content, but also ensure that the content getting out, we're not forgetting to thank people and give credit in the right direction.
Yeah, it's all really being developed and created kind of in real time. We're sort of finding out how much power it has and then what to do with it.
It's almost, I like the analogy of that it's kind of unfolding in front of us like a road, except for the last time I thought of it, I was actually kind of thinking of it is more like an avalanche. That there's so much behind it that we have all this power that comes with this instant ability to see someone else's dancing. And we're trying to police something that we don't even quite understand.
And I don't want to cut anybody off if they have a thought, but there was a couple of other things that I wanted to get to about sort of underneath this umbrella topic. But because social media is so prevalent, the ladies that were just speaking about Shia ASA, I thought that was wonderful, by the way. But it was a perfect segue because you have a really strong mission that you're clearly stating, and here's your website. Oh, by the way, we're launching our Instagram. Like, so it was a perfect segue. But it led me to the discussion of if you're having your own professional Facebook page or Instagram page, or even setting up an organization with a specific goal, there's I was going to say, is the cart before the horse. I mean, do you solicit fans first, or do you have something to say first, and then you want to use the platform from that? I mean, it's interesting. I think it's asking all artists to think more clearly, and this would be everybody of any age because it is just unfolding. What do we want to use that for? You can certainly use it for sharing things with your friends in a social context or being part of a community, like a bulletin board. I use a Facebook for that kind of thing with the actor community. But if you have something specific that you want to say, like is it curating your image, or is it a launch for your mission? And is your dancing part of like a mission. It gets to be like Misty Copeland's, you know, she is carrying a banner of sort of elevating or moving racial stereotypes around ballet, breaking them and moving it forward. And I'm just curious if anybody has thoughts about using your social media really consciously or for the promotion of either a company or an idea or even an individual dancer. I mean, I think that's sort of what's the next thing, like,
I think social media become a running after popularity, but the question is, okay, as you said, what I do next with this popularity? And as you said, okay, I'm online every day, but what is my message? What I'm promoting? I'm just sharing with my friends, or I just have a message for somebody. For example, I promote my company. I promote myself. I promote all the teachers that I have in the school. I promote their performances, but it's just for their value to grow and for the company to grow as a value and as people who are working very hard and they struggle with all the economy and so on. So it's not all about how beautiful I'm in the picture. It's about where is the picture made? Because now it's so easy to promote all the competitions or the festivals. I was promoting so much, but it's not only promoting everything what happened here, because it's not just a competition. It's about presenting art, presenting culture, gathering all the dancers from all over the world. So this is what I wanted people to see about my experience in America, not just that I was dancing on a stage and that's it. I have a beautiful costume and my makeup is great. I just wanted the people from all over the world and from Romania to see what this wonderful community, and especially Charlene, is doing here. And it's more than just a competition. It's more than just going on the stage and perform. It's connecting people. It's about learning from each other. It's about learning for the Indian culture, the Cuba dance, everything. So this is actually what we should think about. We promote ourselves on Instagram, on Facebook, but let's promote more than that, a message, a philosophy, or community. Dance community needs a lot of support. I was listening to everybody who was speaking here, and I think we have almost the same issues all over the world. Teachers are struggling with children to lead them to a future in this domain that it seems like nobody knows anymore what it is. It's a television show, it's an artistic performance. So people are confused, children are confused because they want to be famous, they want to be on a screen, but this is not what we want to promote. We want to promote, as you said, we want to teach them more than dancing. We want to teach them how to become people who appreciate art, who have good taste, who appreciate more intelligent people. So I believe that dancers should know from everything something. They should know more than dancing, and they should read and they should study and they should never stop asking. And yeah, I think I went too far.
Thank you. This is exactly what this is for, the idea of being a global leader, but leading in the front of an avalanche. I mean, it's a really different kind of thing. How do we shape how we think about using this power that's really new? Please, I sense you want to say something, Enrique.
Yeah, sorry. Now? Yes. So I want to tell actually about this, just one thing about the media. I have a very funny history in the media, social media, no? I don't like.
Very short.
When Facebook appears, actually was a little girls who was doing my choreographies. I was dancing in that moment in Spain, but I always was trying to do choreography. From the very beginning, I began to dance, was like both together, choreography was a passion for me. So in that moment, few dancers, young girls with 13 years old, they was telling me, did you have Facebook? I was like, yes, I have face and a book, but I even don't know what was that, no? So they said, okay, we're gonna open a Facebook for you. They put the password, they put everything. Actually, at the beginning, they put my nickname. My nickname is Kike Microondas. It's like Kike is my short name and Microondas is microwave. Don't ask. So they put something very strange, and the Facebook account was there. In one point, I born in Mexico, so my mom is in Mexico. All my family is around the world. Facebook was the point where my family was looking I was alive, because sometimes my brain is just something strange. I was like 1 month without say, hello, mom, I'm okay. So thanks for these little girls, my mom was knowing I was alive. In one moment, I opened my Facebook, I asked to the girls my password because I don't know it, and there was so many friends, I don't know. I like, who is this? Who is this? Who is this? Who is this? Oh, my mom. Who is this? Who is this? You know? And all of them was professional contacts. And it's what Charlene said. In one moment, there was another boom, like, everybody, let's close the Facebook, yeah. And somebody do it. I was very close to do it, but then I just see all my professional contacts was there. So I began to put attention to that. I learned to post photos and all the things. And I begin to get more in touch with the people. Then I really found it was an amazing tool in so much that I can say I do a choreography by Facebook. This was like 8 years ago, I don't remember, 8 or 9. We was invited to dance in Greece, in Monemvasia, in the south of Greece. There was an arts festival, and they choose like one production of theater, one production of music, one from plastic arts, one from photography, one from dance, etc., etc., etc. So I was the one for the dance. In that moment, I was with so much work around. So my project was a company where the dancers can live wherever they want. So, for example, I'm Mexican, but I live in Portugal. It's a little far away from my family. So I was always thinking on the dancers, they can live wherever place they want. So I found a way to just tape the movement, tape the steps from the mirror, from the back, different points. I love technologies like cameras and things. I post in Facebook in private, and there was a friend of mine in New York, and 2 girls, one in the north, in Bremerhaven, Germany, and one in the south, and I was in Barcelona, and with the help of another girl who was not able to go to Greece to perform, we both do all the choreography, tape it, everybody learn it in the different places, was 1 month, and then just in 3 days, they come to Barcelona, because our planes will go from Barcelona to Greece, and we just put all together like a puzzle, and then just perform in Greece. Then we come back to Barcelona, and New York, Germany, and I stay, and was okay. I really check that all the media can be used more than what we really think, no? When I hear about Facebook, the first time for me was like, this is not important, but at the end, I have done so many things with that. And it's just that, depends of how you do it. She was saying, some people just post like photos like, I feel nice. Yeah, I do it just for my mom, actually. She can see I am alive and I still beauty. But the really reason I still using that is more like a work tool, and it's so amazing if you really do it smart and with intelligence, you know. So.
No, as I appreciate that. I guess coming back to our thematic here, I don't know if there's any secret. I think the secret to being a global leader and an artist is not being afraid to look forward and see how to use what's revealing itself, and to take the value of, this is one of the things I love about a dance tradition, is that it's taught in real time with a real person teaching a class. It's essentially a physical oral tradition that's passed on. So the power of what you learn by your studies and by being in class and being in rehearsal and performing, all of that live work, then interfacing with our cyber opportunities to share it, is an incredibly powerful combination of things, but I don't think we have anywhere near harnessed all the ways that could serve us. And I think there's also the challenge that it's very tempting to derail our focus from being present with one another in real time to being consumed with our own image. So I feel there's a tremendous opportunity here. I can't give you a secret to being a global leader and an artist, but I can encourage you to stay connected to your mentors and to teachers and coaches to make really powerful connections with your colleagues and support each other, a mutual support of your colleagues going forward. And then don't be afraid to look to meet the artists that inspire you and try to develop connections and collaborations, which you can use social media to seek out making those connections. And then what we all do with that going forward, I think is really thrilling, and an opportunity like this to talk in real time with other artists around the world. I think that's just kind of the gas for us to go forward and create other things. So I think the secret of it is just to not be afraid to try and explore things, use all the strength of where we've come from, but we are creating it, and you younger dancers are creating, I think, the way to snowboard on an avalanche of information. That's what I think. Anybody else have a question, or I saw a hand up there. Maybe somebody was just port-a-brying. Yes? No? All right, is there anything else anybody would like to sort of throw in? I know that this is what's so exciting, but there's not an answer. Do this and do this and do this. The things that I was handed when I was 18 are quaint now, because they're not really as relevant, except for the human being willing to do your work, show up, and state your dream. I mean, besides that, the terrain has shifted entirely, but the universal things are still.
Just for a parting thought for any of the people who are here that are competitors or that are still making their mark on their careers, to something that Astrid mentioned earlier, be really careful about what you do put on social media. We talk about it as if, excuse me, I'm going to be slightly rude for a moment. Some of the older teachers in the room right now, I think some young dancers get the impression that you don't know how to use social media. And that, no, a director won't see that because a director is of a certain generation and didn't really grow up with that. They will, just so you know. Anybody who's younger in here, they will see what's on your Facebook page. They will see it.
Yeah.
Like, be careful.
Yes, please be careful what you put there.
There is a huge chunk of a generation that just believes that we're alone on that, and we're not. So be very careful with what you put there. And the second thing that you had just spoke about was, regardless of how many followers you have on Instagram or how big your Facebook account is at the moment, nothing will beat showing up to the studio every morning with the intent to work and with the intent to work to move forward, not simply just to put the daily grind in, but to really move forward in a positive way. If you show up with that negative energy or like, I don't have to do this anymore, you're putting yourself, starting on a bad foot. And so really try to remember that, because I think that's sometimes lost. And I know that out of personal experience, because I was one of those lost people who had to go back and just put in the work every day before I realized how beneficial it is. So don't forget that. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here, so I'll stop preaching. But
No, I'm so glad you are. I'm so glad you are. Yeah, there's no, an image of what you can do is not what you can, I mean, the power, the mojo is what you're actually able to do through your training and through your commitment as an artist. And the images you share of that, that's like one flower off of the tree. That is not the tree. What you're actually able to do is is of value, and then the little pieces of it, or snippets, or video pieces of whatever the imagery is, that's what you share, but that's not the thing. There has to be a there. There has to be an actual core of a being who's trained and committed to creating something. So managing the images is part of this life now, but it isn't what the source of the impact is. Believe me, I live in LA. I know.
And let's not forget that every picture has a story. Behind the picture, there are a lot of hours spent in the studio, and the tricks that children or young dancers sees now, they don't think that those tricks are hundreds of hours of practice and being in the studio. So don't forget that every picture has a story. So let's not take for granted anything, and just go back in the studios. And don't forget that internet is not replacing a teacher. Never. He will never do this. A teacher is a teacher, and is the mother and the father, as you said. And we still need each other in arts. Arts, it's made by people with people, so we need to still be connected through internet, yes, of course. But yeah, and let's not forget to teach our children how important it is to take care of their body, because they have the body as a tool, as forever. As a dancer, you have your body, and your mind needs to be in a balance and to be clear. So, yeah.
I think, did we have a couple of questions? I thought there was, I can't see it all. I'm so sorry. Can you speak loudly?
No problem. Hi, my name's Casper. I was wondering,
Hey, Casper.
as leaders that teaching the next generation, how important do you think it is to teach the behind the scene, or like the business aspect of dance and connections? And when does that normally come in? Do you put should you start learning that as soon as you're doing the hours, or should you?
I was going to just say everything you just said, but this is faster. Yeah.
Okay, hello. My question was, at what point do you think, if it is at all, or if it's not, important to teach the back end and the business and the connecting with people and understanding of being able to connect the people around the world and the people you work with and keeping in contact? Because I feel like sometimes those things aren't really taught, and I've had to look and see and just gain that kind of knowledge from a distance and understand that that is something that's a big part, because that's what's going to keep you working and things like that. Just want to hear your guys' voice on that end.
Sure, absolutely. I have a thought, or anybody? Yes?
Yeah, I think this is really, really important, actually, because as I said before, not every dancer, doesn't matter if they like to dance and they are dancers, it's going to be really, I don't want to say it, professional dancer, but yes, it's going to live dancing. I mean, it's going to want money for present himself moving in a stage. So this is really, really important in general, and it's important for these ones who are actually dancing and they need to manage all her own life too, because I mean, I think this art, everybody knows we don't have all our life to just keep dancing and dancing and dancing. And so many times I found so many talented people. I don't gonna say really names, but professional and amazing dancers that I meet right now, that maybe they could be doing amazing things, but they don't because of that, actually.
Yes.
Nobody helped them, or maybe nobody just give a guide or something, or maybe they was not so, for example, I can see he really knows how to move his own, no? But I know another ones who are really amazing dancers, but they really don't have idea, and they are very lost about that. So yeah, personally, me, I try to help them to find ways to sell herself or her, her own or him owns to do another work that is behind us, just It's not just the presentation there. So it's good to learn how to do a production, how to do your own propagandas, maybe not just for the medias, and even to go and speak with the people, knock doors and, you know.
Enrique, yes, that's exactly what I would, and I tell students this also. I also choreograph professionally, but if you're working with anyone in a class or an environment, I would introduce yourself to the teacher or make sure that you thank them and make an actual connection. And that goes to make connections with people here. That we could continue then on social media, and I might be able to, the number of people that I know from doing this for 35 years in multidisciplines, the number of people that Charlene knows, the number of people that Patrick knows, and everybody here has a huge wheel of connections. So even it might seem you need to put your embarrassment aside and let your interest be known with respect. Let your interest be known with respect and make a connection with the adult people who can then be part of a team of, that's what I meant by building a network, a team of people that you don't need to know them well as long as they've seen their work and they can sense your respect. They could be part of connecting you to whatever your next step or opportunity is. I think is that part of what you're talking to Casper about, making those. So don't think that there's some other door somewhere. It's the person that you're meeting right now. You have no idea. Any teacher that you have has years and years of study. And so that's part of what you can access by asking their advice, introducing yourself, making your interest known, and making a way to connect. That's something I would suggest, yes. And we're going to wrap.
I'm sorry, I think I've been told that this is the last question.
Okay.
But I just wanted to say first that I really appreciate what was said about teaching students and athletes to be more than just an athlete, about reading and other life skills. I think that the generation that we're in with young people in this social media flurry is the challenge of giving them a true sense of the power of their own identity and their own individual beauty and strength and positive impacts in the world. I'm curious of what you would say in regard to how you can support dancers in that way when there's this, blast of, impressions of how it comes to you, but how do you mentor them or reach that piece where they are confident just in who they are? And I think someone said the flow of that reality through their person.
I think it comes from your family and your friends and the people that the environments that you're dancing in, who you're working with, your teachers. Did someone else want to pick up that? About making a good decisions about, it's really a part of the human side of education going forward. Yeah.
Just very fast, and this is, I think we really need to cut, but this is for the students who are here, but for everybody until for us. Everybody have something amazing to show and to do. Every time somebody comes and tells you like, no, you are not good in this, for me, this is like they are telling me, you are very good. Try more harder and you will be the best. So it's just that. I think to encourage all the students is just to try to find that point. Maybe someone is not the best turning, but the other one jumps so much harder than you. Or maybe the other have some batteries that you don't have. So I don't know, something. Everybody have something that where you are better than the other ones. Just the thing is, you need to try to find that and explode that. So it's just that for me.
Yeah, I'll just say in closing, it's one of my favorite quotes that I have inside of book, and I give it to students at the end of semesters. But it's Martha Graham's letter to Agnes DeMille. And Agnes DeMille had contacted her when she was feeling in despair that her choreography was being well regarded, something she thought was substandard, and something that she hadn't thought about was being held up. She felt her whole standards were no longer made sense to her, how her work was being perceived. And Martha sent her a letter, but essentially it said that no artist is pleased, that you are always chasing with this, she called it a queer divine dissatisfaction that keeps us more alive than the rest. But she also said that there is something unique, there is a quickening inside of you that will only exist through you for this one point in time. And if you block it, the world will not have it. So it's not really your business to have faith in your own work, but just to be open and allow it to be. So it's very challenging to not judge yourself from external impressions because we are bombarded with images. But what you contribute is so much more dimensional than that. And please take advantage of your teachers and the other people here to really have discussions about this. But what you have to contribute is not just the external impression that you can save as a JPEG. It's your three-dimensional human self. You bring your whole self to everything that you perform. And that's part of the joy of live performance. I think we have to wrap this up, but I wanted to thank you all so much. There's so much experience just sitting right here in these chairs. I'm honored that we all got to share this together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, panel, for sharing your insights and your wisdom, and thank you for joining us for our Art of Diplomacy. Performing again is Centro de Artes Escénicas of Panama performing El Punto.
give them another round of applause. Well, thank you very much. We've come to the end of our day-long program here. What an amazing few hours together. So much wisdom, insight, and learning today, and a tour around the world, from South Korea to Latin America, Africa, and Europe, and across the United States. Let's give another round of applause to all the speakers and moderators and performers today. Thank you very much.